Hey guys, so I figured I'd make an inventory showcase video. I've actually been thinking about doing this for some time now. Just never got around to it until now. My inventory is kind of crazy, which is why I'm doing it. I think it warrants a bit of a showcase. Of course, there are way crazier inventories out there in terms of inventory, value, but still, I think mine's pretty good, and I got some cool stories behind some of the skins, so I thought I'd go through everything. So firstly, let's get started with the knives. I currently have 12 knives. I've unboxed probably like 26 knives, 27 knives. I've honestly lost count at this point. Alright, so first up, I guess we'll go with the Ceramic Marble Fade. This is actually a fake fire and ice, which I unboxed quite some time ago now. It's a fake because there is a bit of yellow on the tip. It's really negligible, and to be honest, I do like a little bit of yellow on a marble fade. I think yellow's underrated on a marble fade. And I do like the proportions on this. So you got about 1/3 of the blade is red and 2/3 of it is blue. So it's just artistically, it's just a good thing to go 1/3, 2/3 rather than half and half. In my opinion, it's just proportionally, it's just nicer. And also the yellow on the tip vibes with the yellow on the ring here. The finger ring or whatever it's called. Clearly I know a lot about knives, as you can tell. Sarcasm. So yeah, the float on this is 0.035. I pulled it randomly. Like, I just did one case at the end of the kind of a case opening session. I just did one extra key purchase, then I just did one case, and boom, I pulled this. And at the time, I didn't even know if it was a good pattern or not. Turns out it's quite a good pattern. But yeah, I use this mainly on my T side with Cobalt Skull Gloves. Next up is the phase, let's say the phase 2 Gambit. So this is, I pulled this, I also pulled this one. It's actually got a lot of pink on it, very little to no brown on the play side. 0.034 float, which is kind of mid in terms of the float. But the thing is, it's a good seed 544. So for whatever reason, the corner is very clean. The corner that matters the most. Of course, it's not perfect, but honestly, like, you pull a Karambit phase 2 Doppler, you don't complain, especially when it's this nice. So I also use this on the T side. Switch it up sometimes with the Karambit Marble Fade I use, depending on what I'm feeling. And then with this one here, I use the hand wrap, overprint hand wraps. It just vibes well with the teal on those. I also changed the inkjet too, but that's a whole other story. I might get into that later. Next up is just probably my worst Karambit, which is kind of saying a lot. The phase 3 Doppler. It's really dinged up. It's only, quote unquote, only 0.034 float, but it looks a bit higher than that just because it's just the seed is not the greatest. So it's really dinged up on the corners, but honestly, I don't mind. I think it looks fine. Can't complain since I pulled it. It's funny actually because this one here, I was going on an unboxing spree one night, telling myself I was not going to stop until I boxed a knife. And I eventually, after quite a few cases, I unboxed this one here, this ultraviolet gut knife. And I kind of told myself, yeah, not good enough, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because there's no guarantees when you're unboxing. So I just kept going for the night. And I think it was like quite a few cases later, but not too many, I pulled this Karambit. So it was a W for that night. I don't remember offhand how many cases it was, but if you look at my other videos, I kind of logged everything in the videos and stuff, so if you're curious. But yeah, I don't really use this one that much. If I do, I use it on the CT side, because, I don't know, it just has a CT vibe to it because of the color. But generally, I do like to use bayonets on the CT side anyway. Speaking of which, I often use this on the CT side. Gamma Doppler, bayonet, Gamma Doppler, phase 4 bayonet. Quite a low float, 0.01. It doesn't have a lot of the green, which is sought after in a phase 4. But honestly, at least on the play side, as you can see, the non-play side does have quite a bit of green on the base of the blade. But I do like this because it's got a lot of the teal and the mixed kind of colors and stuff. I pulled this just after Christmas, but just over a year ago. So Christmas of 2023, just after that. Yeah, I use this a lot on CT side. Let's see, Marble Fade Bane, and I pulled this quite some time ago. I sometimes do use it. float is 0.038. The thing with this is, I really like tricolors more than I do, at least for the bayonets. I do like tricolors more than I do fire and ices. The thing with this one though is it's got a bit too much yellow and too little of the red. Like I wish the yellow was a bit like less and the red was a bit more, so it'd be perfectly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 for each color. But it is what it is. Can't complain. Pulled it. I do sometimes use it. Let's see. Probably the lure next. Pulled this one probably about a year ago or so. 0.07, so it's minimal wear, which is pretty fortunate. It looks really good with my Pandora's gloves because of the purple with the yellow, kind of complementary colors and color theory. Like I'll show you here, I guess. If I were to inspect it, it just vibes with the purple. And yeah, I mean, but then again, so does the Gamma Doppler, which is the one I use more. But just in terms of color theory, yellow and purple, I think it's overrated at what most people do, where they just try to like match the colors and combo stuff like that. I like to kind of do contrasting colors that vibe well together, but that's just me. Got this Tiger Tooth bayonet. This is actually quite low float, 0.007, so it's a 00 float. I don't really use it much, but I do like it. Got a, as for Tiger Tooth, I pulled this one as well. This is actually the second knife I pulled in CS2. 0.034, so kind of a mid float, but I do like it. The Tiger Tooth works well on the M9 in my opinion. It's kind of funny because this knife here, while it was the second knife I pulled in CS2, it was the second case after another knife. So I pulled I think it was a phase 1 Doppler gut knife. Then I opened another case, which was a dud, and then I opened another case, and then it was this knife. Like it was kind of crazy. But yeah, I sometimes use that. Oh, and here's a special knife in my opinion. So this is actually, you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but this knife here is kind of my favorite knife I have. And you might think that's kind of weird because, hey, it's just an urban mass bayonet and it's not even factory new or anything. But here's the thing. It's the first knife I ever pulled back in like 2013, so it's been like well over 10 years. And it was my 9th case ever. So when the 9th case I ever opened, I opened this thing. And at the time I didn't even know like golds were a thing, and like when I saw it on the screen rolling in, I was like, whoa, what's this? So I got this knife, and looking back, like on the logs on CS Float, it says, according to CS Float, it's the oldest ID for an urban mass bayonet like in existence, which I think supports the idea that given how early I pulled this thing in the going, and how the fact that it's the oldest ID on record, it's very possibly the first ever one pulled of this knife type and finish in the world. Like, it's just kind of crazy. It doesn't really add value to it, but it's just a cool little story. I don't think there's any way to really check it unless you went into, the Valve's actual databases and looked it up. But as far as I know, this is the first one ever pulled, the first ever bayonet urban mass pulled, like in the world. But yeah, who knows? Speaking of crazy pulls, there's this flip knife. Doesn't look like much, just a phase 1 Doppler flip knife. Flip knife isn't the greatest. The finish is nice though. The thing with this one is, I didn't realize it at the time, but the float is 0.07995, which is actually the 3rd highest float for a phase 1 flip in existence. Now, of course, you'd rather it be the ranked third lowest float, but 3rd highest is still kind of cool. Like, just the odds of pulling this are kind of insane. I pulled it a couple of years ago. It's still to this date in rank number 3. I don't want to get rid of it for that reason, because the odds of pulling something like this are crazy low. By the way, this type of knife is float capped at 0.08 basically, so 0.07995 is pretty much almost at 0.08. That's why it's ranked so high. So, and then they've got the fake fire nice. Well, in some circles they call this like a really like let's say like a 9th fire and ice, and some people call it a fake fire and ice. I don't really care either way. I just think it's a pretty knife because it's got that little bit of yellow on it, and then it's got the nice bit of blue and red. And the float is 0.016, so that's pretty good. I don't really use it, but I keep it because it's kind of a cool pull. At least for now, I'm keeping it. So yeah, we went over the gut knife, nothing special, but I do think ultraviolet works good, ultraviolet works well on a gut knife, so I kept it. Not really a fan of the gut knife though. It is field tested, by the way. As for the gloves, so you probably noticed the Pandoras and you're thinking, why isn't he like mentioning the Pandoras? Well, I'm mentioning them now. So basically, this is the only gold I have that I've actually purchased outright. Like all my other golds, like all the gloves, all the knives, I've unboxed them. But I wasn't about to try to unbox these Pandoras because at around $10 a case, it could take ages if I ever even do unbox them. So I'd be spending a fortune trying to unbox these things. It's just not worth it. So I got them in well-worn because I do think well-worn sounds cooler for gloves than field-tested. Field-tested sounds a bit like weird to me for gloves. I feel like gloves should either be factory new, minimal wear, or well-worn or battle scarred. Like field-tested to me sounds like it's like for more of like a gun, but that's just my personal opinion. I got them on the very low end of the wear scale, so 0.382. So they're on the cusp of being field tested. And it's hard to see here, but the knuckles are basically almost flawless. Like the left knuckle is flawless. The right knuckle has a little scuff that's not really noticeable. And you know what? I'm just really happy with these gloves. They go well with a lot of my other items and stuff. So I'm happy with the purchase. I pulled these cobalts, as mentioned earlier. I used them with Terracide. I only use hand wraps with Terracide, and I only use proper gloves with CT side. I just think it's more just suits the sides more, but that's just me. I pulled these as well. Not a huge fan, but they do work well with the Phase 2 Doppler Karambit, as mentioned. Now let's get into the knives. Oh, not the knives. Let's get into the guns, I should say. So first up, let's see. I guess just go over the Glock Fade. So this thing is actually about a 95% plus fade, and it's 0.02 float, so it's really good in both those regards. Now here's the crazy thing, like I bought this back in the day when skins had first come out. I bought it off market for like less than 20 bucks. I don't remember how many, it was like 13 or 14 or something dollars, but yeah, it was for sure less than 20 bucks. And at the time, it was like a huge waste of money. I was like, what am I doing? There goes my money. And at the time, you couldn't actually check floats or anything. And I even thought that all Glock fades, for example, look the same. But apparently, as you know, there's different fade percentages and variations and stuff. I had just picked the cheapest one on the market at the time. I took a break from the game for quite a few years, come back later, and the Glock is worth like $2,000. I'm like, what? And to make things really crazier was that, like, the cool thing was, like, it ended up being a 0.02 95% fade. It could have easily been like an 85% 0.06 or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like I just lucked out, and the cheapest one was this really good one that I had purchased. Similar story, Hot Rod. This is also like crazy because I ended up getting the cheapest one at the time, and it ended up being a 0.008 float. And it's a great investment in the sense that it's several $100s now. I don't think I'll ever sell it. I like it a lot. So, and then again, similar story with the Negev Anodized Navy. Granted, this one is like kind of a mid-float, 0.034. Just the one I ended up getting, cheapest one on the market at the time. But again, these are like really rare skins, like the Negev and the Hot Rod factory and the Hot Rod AUG, because they're used for trade-ups, right? The reason they have so much value is because they're used for trade-ups for getting a Glock fade. And so they get consumed over time, and the ones that are left on the market, the value increases. It's just kind of crazy. Now this is probably arguably one of my favorite skins. Actually, it is one of my favorite skins. This M4A4 Asiimov, Stat Track Asiimov, field tested, rank 3 lowest float in the world at 0.1807. I acquired it about a year ago, put the stickers on myself. You can check out the video of me doing that if you're curious. but as you can see, it's extremely clean for an Asiimov. For those who know, Asiimovs have a tendency to be very scuffed around here, even if they're very low float. This one's clean, very clean, and the back is also very clean. Now, I know it's not a rank 1, but technically, in many ways, it's cleaner than the rank 1 if you look at the rank 1 yourself, which I think is a 1800 float. Mine's a 180 float, so that one is lower float by a lot, but this one, just because of the seed, is a lot cleaner in many ways, so I'm just happy with it. I mean, it vibes, and I put the flip side tactics stickers on it, which incidentally have the number 3 in the logo, so it vibes well with the fact that it's a rank 3. Now, this skin that I'm going to get into here is kind of famous. Not the one specifically that I have, but everyone knows about case hardened AKs, is what I'm saying, right? Everyone knows about a case hardened AK, what it is, so this one's just like it's just a generic pattern, like it's just a blaze, but it is a nice one, has a lot of blue on it. I pulled this one probably like 12 years ago. Glad I never got rid of it. I put these 2 stickers on the front wooden part. That's actually 2 stickers, not just one. I made a video on that as well if you want to check it out on how to do that. Looks a bit like Gengar, like the Pokemon, but anyway. I recently put this charm on it. I think it's pattern 99615, which is almost max blue, which max blue being 100k. But yeah, this is just, you know, minimal wear, 0.1469, ha ha ha, 69 is in the float, twice actually. P2000 Ocean Foam. I pulled this also around the same time as like the case hardened and all that. You know, when cases were really new. I actually pulled, well, this is a StatTrak factory new with 0.01 float, which is very fortunate. This is like one of my favorite guns, not gonna lie. I do use the P2000 on defusal maps. Anyway, the funny thing is, I pulled a StatTrak minimal wear, I believe it was. Perhaps it was a non-StatTrak, but for sure it was a minimal wear Ocean Foam back in the day, and I think I sold it for like a couple bucks, which is kind of a huge L, because if I kept it, I could have sold it for a couple hundred or more now. But it is what it is. I'm glad I didn't sell this one. P250 Asiimov, nothing special here, except I just wanted to mention, the thing with these Asiimov P250s is these little things here on the side, even if you get like an extremely low float, sometimes just because of the paint seed, they look dinged up, they look scuffed. I just picked this one out so that it's both low float and that looks clean because of the paint seed. The paint seed in this one being 719. Put these cheap stickers on it to make it look cool. So again, this is like rank 300 something, I believe. I don't even remember, but anyway. The point is, the float is low, but not crazy low, but it looks cleaner than a lot of the crazy low ones just because of the seed. So I just handpicked this one, handpicked it off, I think it was Buff, the Chinese Buff site, I got it off. Yeah, I used it on CT side, whereas on the T side, I used this, minimal wear nuclear threat, 0.12. I don't know, it's just cool looking. It's like one of the classic OG skins, and it really pops because it's, you know, basically neon green. And the good thing about this skin is, unlike the Asiimov P250, this one here can use the new model. See, it's the new model, it's the CS2 model, so it does look quite a bit better. Like I said, I used the P2000 on the CT side for defusal maps, but for hostage maps, I use USP-S because I feel like the silencer adds a tactical sort of advantage when you're trying to sneak around, it's like office or what have you. This is a minimal wear. Put the sticker on it. I don't know why they don't fix this. Like, I put the sticker on it during CSGO, and then now it's like kind of weird looking, but it is what it is. I have a Whiteout MP5, which they kind of fixed that issue with, as you can see here, but I think whatever. Yeah, this is also minimal wear, by the way. This MP5 is actually kind of neat. I kind of got it off the Chinese Buff site for just a few bucks. It's actually the lowest float pattern 0 for the co-processor MP5-SD skin. Of course, this is a pattern-based skin, so pattern 0 means it's just, you know, the pattern you see on the preview image and the thumbnails and everything is this one exactly. I added the sticker to it straight with just the right amount so that you can just see Intel. I just thought it's cool to put an Intel sticker on a processor inspired, CPU inspired skin. Oh, and one last thing before I let you guys go is the SEAL Team 6 soldier. I like for the CT side because basically SEAL Team 6 is just badass in general, and also it's a very generic like sort of agent. It doesn't have like a name to it. It doesn't have a name. He doesn't have like a personality per se. It's just a generic. You don't even see what its face looks like, which I like. I like that kind of generic sort of agent look where possible. And also I put a bayonet frog on it like back in the day, which now is like $300-400 at least, which is crazy. So, and the reason I got the 2 Dragon mirrors is because depending on which set pair of gloves and knife I'm using, I switch it up. So I use this one if I'm using the Cobalt Skull hand wraps, because as you can see here, the red sleeves vibe well with the red on the blade of the fake fire and ice, and the blue of the Cobalt Skull gloves vibes well with the blue of the blade of the fake fire and ice as well. Like, it's just an overall great combo. Whereas with the overprint and the face U Doppler combo, I use this agent. Boom, see, like it just vibes better, because if you had a red sleeve here, it would kind of not match as well with the sort of brownish color that goes with the teal of the gloves and the pink of the blade. It just vibes better than if the sleeve was red. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, just depending on what I'm using on this T side, I just switched the T agent up. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos if you want. Like and subscribe would be appreciated. Take care for now.